Okay, this next video that I'm going to check out is something from Gabriel Iglesias. Well, I say something like I don't know what I'm talking about. What I mean is it's a video from Gabriel Iglesias. It's Marvel versus DC. Now, I've got some of his other material in my to-watch list, and I've been meaning for the longest time to watch the one he did about Magic Mike or something like that. But that one, I think it's on the longer side, maybe 13-ish minutes or more. And I'm a little limited on time. I've got some trailers I want to check out, but I also wanted to watch a comedy stand-up thing. And this one had been recommended to me like a few days ago. And it's titled Marvel versus DC. Now, I kind of have a feeling he's going to be snarky about DC because there's another video of his where, according to the title, it makes it sound like he doesn't like DC. Like he doesn't like their comics or something like that. Now, I don't know if this is going to be about the comics in general or the movies or both. I don't know. But let's see what he has to say.
At home, when I'm hanging out, I usually just wear, very similar to now, except the Hawaiian shirt. I usually wear like a t-shirt that has like either Star Wars or Marvel Comics or Transformers on it or cartoons. I like wearing stuff like that around the house. One day, I'm wearing a t-shirt that has the Avengers on the front.
Okay.
And I walk into the living room, and my son's friend Fabian sees me wearing this shirt. And so he starts pointing. And I'm like, what's up, dude? He goes, weak. Excuse me? Weak. And then he says, DC's better. What did you say? DC's better. I'm like, DC's okay. Obama lives there. They pass laws. They got hotels, historic museums. It's not even a real state. I don't know why you're getting cray-cray. He goes, nah, fool, DC Comics. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm almost 40. I don't care. It's just a really cool shirt. I like it. It fits. No big deal. That's because they are. I go, you need to relax. They're the best. I go, you need to chill. And in my head, I'm like, why am I having this conversation? I have better things to do with my time, like trying to get my son on an elephant. But no.
Like he's sitting there arguing with a kid, right? I mean, I assume this guy's a kid. He says it's his son's friend. He's not that old, so surely it's just a kid. It reminds me of a video that I watched a while back. And it got blocked. I don't even know if it's ever going to see the light of day, but it was this guy talking about how he was getting pissed at a little kid for ordering pistachio ice cream or something like it. He was mad at the kid. It just kind of reminds me of that.
I have better things to do with my time, like trying to get my son on an elephant. But no. The kid in me's like, why are they the best? And then he points at the shirt again. Iron Man sucks. Batman's #1.
Oh, dear, help us.
I go, why? Because he is. I go, that's not an argument. First of all, Batman's not the best superhero. I hate to break it to you. He's not. I can hear people already getting ready to boo. They're like, oh, no, Fluffy, don't go there. Don't go there, Fluffy. Don't do it.
I don't. Okay, so here's the cool thing about Batman and Iron Man, too. They're not superhuman. That's what makes them favorites for a lot of people. I mean, that's one of the... I've always loved Wonder Woman. Just loved her because she was so awesome when I was a kid and everything. And I love the movies. But at the same time, Batman, to me, is very cool because of all these things he has, all these things he can do, his fighting style, technique, and everything. And he's just human. His superpower is he's rich, according to him in Justice League. But I think that's why he's a favorite with a lot of people. He's not a Mary Sue, like Superman can sometimes tend to be, especially in the earlier comics. It feels like he would just Superman's always been kind of a boring character to me. I really like what Zack Snyder did with him because he added a lot more complexity to the character. But yeah, I think he's treading on some dangerous ground here. Let's see what he's going to say.
I can hear people already getting ready to boo. They're like, oh, no, Fluffy, don't go there. Don't go there, Fluffy. Don't do it. Yes, I'm going to do this. Watch this.
No.
Batman's not the best superhero. Batman is the creepiest superhero. Batman is the creepiest superhero that has ever lived. He even sounds creepy. I'm Batman.
Yeah. No, that doesn't sound creepy. That doesn't sound creepy. He's trying to make his voice all disguised, and it sounds a little sinister, but not creepy. When I think creepy, I think, I don't know. Well, I guess to bad guys, he's creepy, right? It's never sounded creepy to me.
He even sounds creepy. I'm Batman. I'm Batman. You don't recognize that voice? Want some candy?
Oh, God.
Help me find my puppy.
No. No.
Hello? He only comes out at night. His face is always covered up. He's always waiting in alleys. And who does he talk to? A guy named Joker, a guy named Riddler. His name is Batman. Joker, Riddler, Batman. Joker, Riddler, Batman. Those are Mexican gang member names.
Oh.
Can you imagine if that was Batman's real identity?
I think that, well, I don't know about Joker and Riddler, but I thought I have heard of a Batman like drug guy. It's not El Chapo. No, it's not El Chapo. I'm just having a vague memory on the tip of my brain about some of these names, these crazy names that I don't know if these idiots give them to themselves or if other people give them those names.
Can you imagine if that was Batman's real identity at night? I'm Batman. During the day? No, chingue su madre, soy Batman, loco. Todo el pinche día aquí trabajando y luego le parto la madre Joker. I'm Batman. I said, all right, Fabian, Mr. Batman's the best. Based on my t-shirt says Marvel Comics. I said, I see Thor, I see Captain America, I see Iron Man. Who are some of the superheroes that DC Comics has that makes them better than Marvel? Go. Batman, you said that. Superman, that's a good one. Wonder Woman, okay. Green Lantern, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, I know the other superheroes, but Green Lantern? What's his power? He wears a ring, and the ring gives him power. I said, that's a fantasy. I don't know any man who wears a ring who has power. And if you're not...
Well, Thor is a fantasy too, if you stop and think about it. I mean, a hammer with power. He just doesn't like DC. He's biased against DC.
And if you're not clapping right now, my point exactly.
No. No, not clapping just means you disagree. That's funny. Come on, y'all. DC has a lot of cool characters.
Not clapping right now, my point exactly. You can't clap, can you? You can't. You know why you can't clap? Because you're sitting next to Kryptonite.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, is it over already? It is over already. Well, that was shorter than I thought. Hold on. Yeah, that's way shorter than I thought. Dang it. Okay, it's like a minute less than I thought it was going to be. So now I'm tempted to check out his other video where he is apparently ragging on DC Comics. Now, honestly, I do not... Ooh, sorry about that. I don't get... I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos. I did a reaction to Josh Pray Love's review of Snyder Cut, and stupid audio was messed up and I was silent the whole time. And I want to refilm that, of course, adding the disclaimer that I've already seen it before, but I was wanting to bring up some of the stuff that his video made me think about and talk about. But I don't get this constant Marvel versus DC and which one is better. Why can't... I mean, I like them both, and I know a lot of people like them both. And there's not always really this antagonism, but for some people, I mean, they really are like intense with their dislike towards the other. And I don't understand it because when I read comics as a kid, I read them both. I like I said, have said multiple times, Justice League was my favorite. I was never really into Avengers, but I read Marvel stuff. I loved X-Men and, of course, Spider-Man. That was most of... Those were probably the two primary... Spider-Woman, too. Those are probably the primary ones I read. There were also these offshoot comics like Dazzler. And then there was another... There was another comic book series I would read, and it took place back in the time of like the olden barbarian type days. And with the guy, I cannot remember the name of that one. I thought it started with an A, and I think the guy was like some type of sorcerer or something. And I also read one of the other offshoots, but my point is, I don't remember what publication they were, whether they were DC or Marvel. Another one that I read was this girl that got some sort of powers one night when she was trying to jumpstart her car. And I think she got struck by lightning and it gave her some sort of powers, and she had some sort of electrical type abilities. I cannot tell you now what the name of that one was, but I read that. I mean, I think that was just starting out whenever I started to read it, and I don't even know if it's still around anymore. It might not be. But I just enjoyed both. If it was a decent story and the characters were cool and interesting, I liked. Of course, as a kid, it's very easy for a kid to be interested. Maybe if I went back and read through some of those things now, it wouldn't seem as interesting to me. But I've always got the impression when I read comics, so like, of course, then as a kid, it seems very mature what you're reading. But when I've gone back and looked back through those comics that I used to read as a kid, they were quite mature. Not mature in the sense that it was X-rated or anything like that, but mature in that the subject matter was kind of heavy, and it didn't seem campy or silly or anything like that. It was very serious. I had a copy of the Spider-Man comic book when Mary Jane got killed. I think it was the issue after she got killed. And that was how I knew when I saw The Amazing Spider-Man. I knew when Gwen showed up in that coat, I knew that she was going to, and I hadn't read that she was going to die. But I mean, you always know Gwen Stacy, you know what happened to her. But I knew when she showed up in that coat with those boots and the way she had her hair, I think she had a headband, something. But I knew that this was going to be the scene where she was going to die. And sure enough it was. And it happened very, it was very much similar to the way it happened in the comics. The scenery was a skosh different, but it was virtually the same thing. But it was serious stuff. I mean, it wasn't kiddie. And see, that's the thing that I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand when they think about comic books. They think it's silly. They think it's just for kids. But there is some serious subject matter. It can be pretty decently written. Now, I think a lot of comics these days are getting ridiculous because I feel like, not that I've read them, but this is just based on the things I've seen people saying about what's going on with comics. And my brother is in the comic book industry to an extent. So he sees this stuff going on, but obviously, like what's been going on in movies and TV shows, it's also happening in comics where story is being sacrificed to agendas or narratives, and it's really degrading the quality of comic books in general. But back in the day, I just feel like, no, that wasn't what I was getting ready to say. Not back in the day. I was trying to make the point that how people sometimes look down on those that enjoy comics, and because it's pictures, right? But the quality of the storytelling, yeah, it can be crazy and it's out there and everything, but just let's forget about all that supernatural and fantasy stuff that goes on. It's just the human quality of the stories that are being told in these comics. It can be deep, and it's not something trivial, and it's not silly, it's not childish or anything like that. So and those good qualities are in both Marvel and DC, and there's all these other off-brand, not off-brand, but other brands of comics. And it shouldn't really matter if stories are pretty. I guess if people are wanting to be argumentative, they would be like, well, the stories suck in DC or the stories suck in Marvel. But come on, you got to be. That's being a little bit disingenuous, because that's not the case. There's solid material in both of those both of those brands. And I think there's room for enjoyment of both of them. And I have always enjoyed both. I may gravitate a little bit more towards some of them than others. Like, let's say, if I was going to compare the Avengers movie, let's say, to the Justice League movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, I would always gravitate more towards Justice League because I like that style. I like that dark, gritty, sort of narrative more than the lighthearted, fun, silly type. Not really silly, because Avengers is not completely silly. It has some, serious moments, but I just appreciate the DC angle, or the DC stuff as far as the Justice League compared to the Avengers. But I like them both. And it doesn't have to be a fight between them, y'all. Come on, let's come together. Let's enjoy both of them. Anyway, okay, well, I've gone on long enough about this. I'm going to go ahead and stop so I can check out those trailers I wanted to see, and see you guys later. Hasta luego.